As I was a very happy child, I'm told, for most of my upbringing in a small city in Ontario, in Canada. And when I became a teenager and went to high school, I was not so well behaved. I was not a good student in high school. I was fortunately at a very, very good high school. When I should say, with one of the physics laureates of 2018 got in touch with me after my prize was announced to tell me that she went to the same high school as I did in Guelph, Ontario. And so it was a very good high school, but I was not a good student. But I had the good fortune of getting a part-time job working during my last couple of years in high school for a wool broker, a man who had a small company with two other employees who imported wool from all over the world and sold it to textile mills in Ontario and Quebec. And he took me on doing odd jobs in his office, cleaning up the wool samples and helping him to deal with some of the correspondence in a very minor way. I don't think I did much help for him, but he did a lot of help for me. This bit of work inspired me. I remember watching his teletype machine rolling away with this tape coming across with prices of different kinds of wool from all around the world, and the prices would go up and go down. And I remember asking him, why are these prices gyrating like this? And he started telling me about supply and demand, and I thought, well, this sounds all very mysterious. And he's the one who said, if you want to learn more about this, you should go study economics when you finish high school. So I did, and I went off to McGill University to take a degree in economics and political science. And I really fell in love with economics as an undergraduate. And I got interested in other aspects. I got more interested in macroeconomics and how the whole system fits together in ways that we don't really realize in our normal way, that we're almost like ants in an anthill. An anthill is a very complex social organization, and each of the ants is playing its own role, but probably quite unaware of the grand picture. And of course, we're a lot smarter than ants, but we also have a correspondingly more complex organization. And this whole idea of how we're in this world that's controlled by forces that we don't really think of from day to day, but we could perhaps understand if we stand back and take a look at it. It really caught my imagination. I went on, when I graduated, I was offered a job working for one of the textile companies that had been a customer of my part-time boss when I was in high school. A very attractive offer to start working in business. And I had to make a decision, should I do that, or should I go on and study more economics and perhaps become an economist? And I remember it was a difficult decision, but I decided that what I really loved was studying economics. So I went on to do that, and I've never regretted that decision. The company that had offered me this job was one of the largest in Canada at the time. It doesn't even exist anymore because the whole textile business in North America has moved elsewhere. And so I've been very happy with the decisions that I made. Even as a troubled child, I managed to make good decisions, but largely with the help of others. This person who offered me this job, I don't think had any idea of how much it was basically an act of kindness, because I wasn't that much help to him. But he sort of took me under his wing and acted as a mentor, and it's made all the difference in my life. Well, I think it helps to to tell people that if something is really interesting to them, that they shouldn't be afraid to pursue that, even if it seems that there's not much payoff to them, that pursuing your curiosity can really pay off. I think another lesson is that I never really had a lot of purpose to my life until I actually started working. And as I say, it wasn't much of a job. It was just a part-time job, but it was getting involved in an organization that was doing important things in their own little way. And it was in that context that I first became inspired. And I think that that a lot of the meaning in life comes not from the money you make from working, but just from the experience and from the fulfillment and the challenge that you find in working. Well, curiosity is number one. And I think the ability to pursue through failure, because most of what I ever tried didn't work out. So you just have to keep trying. There's an old saying that if at first you don't succeed, you should redefine the question. Start looking somewhere else. Keep on searching around until you find something that really works. Persistence is important. Well, I tell them to work hard and to be constantly on the lookout for new ideas. Never think that you've got the complete answer to anything. Most of the students that I've had in my career have been real self-starters, and they haven't really needed a lot of advice. I've learned as much from them as they have from me. Philippe is a very dynamic and creative, energetic person. Even now, I think he has more energy than I ever had. When we first met up, it was a great combination. First of all, he was a microeconomist, I was a macroeconomist, and we were both interested in similar things, and we really clicked well together. Philippe, and I think he'll tell you the same thing, tends to be a little more impatient than I am. And when we would be working things out at the blackboard, if it wasn't working, he would suggest, well, let's throw that away and try something different. And I would always be the one that would say, well, let's just a minute, now let's pursue this a little further. And sometimes he was right, we should have moved on. And sometimes we'd discover things that I don't think he would have discovered on his own because he would have moved on. And we had very complementary skills and personalities. And he's a very generous and warm-hearted person, and someone with a great sense of humor. It was tremendous fun working with him. I remember, have many memories. I remember when we wrote our very first paper together, which it still remains our most important paper. It's really the foundation on which everything else that we did together was built. I remember we were coming up with a lot of different ideas, and I remember suggesting to him, well, maybe we should make it a series of papers. We'll write one paper about growth, another one about cycles, another one about some other aspect. And I remember him saying, no, Peter, no, we put it all together, we build a bomb. And that's, and I remember just thinking, well, that's a good way to do it. And we packed a lot into that first paper, and it was a tremendous success. And I just remember that. We're going to build a bomb. And we did. I think we realized very, very quickly that it was something groundbreaking. I mean, what we were doing, we were in a situation where the theory of economic growth was clearly underdeveloped and needed needed something new into it. This idea of creative destruction had been around for decades, but it hadn't yet been incorporated into the theories of economic growth that economists really used or taught to students. So we knew it was an important thing to put this in. And it wasn't very long after we wrote the paper and started presenting it in seminars at different universities and research institutes that we started to get a lot of positive feedback, and we realized we were onto something big. And it just led to a lot of further research. We had a very intense period for the next 15 years or so, and indeed we continued to collaborate for long after that. But the first 15 years or so were really intense periods, even though we were, for almost all of that period, on opposite sides of the Atlantic. We were constantly in touch. We would constantly go visit each other, stay with each other's families. We were really part of each other's families. It was a very intense period that, and we knew we were onto something big. And especially after we produced our first book, which I just donated to the museum as a little artifact representing our work together. It was just a period in my life that was unlike any other, where I had already celebrated my 40th birthday before coming to MIT, where Philippe and I met, and I was beginning to think that I had at one time thought that when I turned 30, I'll be over the hill and finished and do nothing more. Well, when I got to be 30, I didn't think that way anymore. But when I got to be 40, I thought, well, now I can sort of take it easy. I don't have to work so hard. I probably won't do anything really important after that. And I didn't realize that the best was yet to come. And it's largely because I met Philippe, and because I met him in the sort of atmosphere that they had at MIT, very collegial atmosphere. They had other brilliant people there that we learned a lot from, and it was just a great coincidence. It was a great coincidence that we were both there. Philippe will probably tell you about how he was disappointed to have come to MIT as his first job, which it was. He had hoped to join the Society of Fellows at Harvard, but had been turned down. And I had come to MIT not to work on growth theory. It was the furthest thing from my mind when I came there. I had come there as a visiting professor, hoping to do some work on unemployment theory and some things that were really not all that closely related. But we connected. We started talking. This idea of, how could we bring creative destruction into growth theory came up, and we started talking, and it just happened. But it could easily not have happened. I have retired from teaching, and I'm largely retired from doing research. But winning this prize has rather brought me back into the world of research. My wife and I live in the hills of western North Carolina in the United States, far from any leading research university. We enjoy nature. We enjoy walking in the hills, and we particularly enjoy playing golf. I find it's especially in the hills. It gives us lots of exercise, fresh air, companionship, and it's a wonderful new chapter of our lives.